Hi there, my name is Toby and this is a very important video. I want to talk about the Achilles tendon, and it's a very powerful tendon. In fact, it's the most powerful, the strongest tendon in your body, and if you can understand how to use this correctly, this will apply to all of the joints in the body. Now I'm away on holiday at the moment. I'm in a hotel and it's a great storm outside, so you might hear little background noises, so apologies for that. But look, the Achilles tendon, this is the first exercise. Lean against something, keep your feet flat on the floor and just gently lean forward and backwards, trying to stretch the Achilles tendon. Then try again with bent knees. You see, if you drop your weight forward, you're trying to put your feet flat, but the heels will just rise off the floor. And what you're doing is trying to push your heels back down to the floor. So you're going to get a dramatic stretch in the Achilles tendon. And once you've got the feeling of this stretch, you can go a little bit up and down. You see, this is all about activating the ligaments, the tendons. There's a stretch you've got to find, and this will create elasticity. So once I'm feeling this stretch, you can bounce a little bit. So now I'm here helping my friend here, so I'm going to talk you through it. What you've got to do is your knee drops over the toes. So when your knee drops over the toes, your heels want to rise up. Now what you have to do is try and keep your heels flat on the floor. So what you're going to feel is a dramatic stretch here in the Achilles tendon. And this is what we're trying to create, an elasticity, a stretch in the ligaments. And this stretch wants to recall, it wants to bounce back. And this will give you a spring, a bounce in the steps. So you see the knees go forward over the toes, but at the same time, you've got to push your heel back down again. And you see your toes are flexing back towards the shin. What you're trying to do is isolate the tendon here. Very tricky, but once you get the hang of it, you'll feel it. So once you've got that, you're just gently bouncing. It's not the knee, it's the ankle, the Achilles tendon. The knee goes over the toes, but what you're trying to do here is stretch the Achilles. So now if you see me here on the edge of a step, see the ball of the foot with the tippy toes on the step, you can just go up and down. So now you can get a much more dramatic stretch in the Achilles. See, with knees bent, again, knees go forward, that makes your heels go up. At the same time as your heels going up, what you've got to do is try and push the heels down again. It's a little bit tricky. You've got to get the angle right. There's an angle to this. So you don't want the pressure on your knees. There should be no pain in the knees. It's all in the ankle. So your knee goes forward over the toes, but if at the same time you're trying to push your heel down, it will lock your leg. You can't go down any further. Your leg sort of locks up in this position and you'll feel a dramatic stretch in the Achilles tendon and the calf muscle. And furthermore, you can grip your toes. When you grip your toes a little bit, you're also activating the arch of the foot. And once you've got the hang of that, you're just bouncing up and down on the elasticity of the Achilles tendon. It's so powerful that we don't know how to use it. Now, flat-footed again. See, now this is getting more practical. So your knees go forward over the toes, and as the knees go forward over the toes, the heels want to rise up. But at the same time, you've got to push the heels down. So your whole leg is collapsing. And at the same time, I'm projecting my hips backwards. So like I'm trying to sit on a chair. And the effect is your legs lock up. Like I said, you can't go down any further if you're trying to do this. What you're doing is creating a dramatic stretch in the Achilles tendon and then bouncing on it. And if you grip the toes, you're bouncing on the arch of the foot and the Achilles tendon. And at the same time, you see, I'm projecting my hips backwards. So I've got a leverage in the hips and a leverage in the ankles, and that is what I'm bouncing on. It's not the knees. Now, if you rise up high, you can also practice this, working the Achilles by going up onto the tippy toes and bouncing. So now I'm trying to go high as I can, really stretch out the Achilles and still feel this bounce. You see, because now I'm going up on the toes, it's harder to feel the stretch, but I'm still trying to create this stretch. You have to create it. You see, and like I said, if you project your hips backwards, the knees forward and the hip and the heels down, what you're doing is locking up the legs and creating this bounce, a stretch in the ligaments. So that, and it's a line, you see, the hips go down, the knees go down, and the heels go down. So it's all about the alignment, getting the line straight. You see, if your knees just go forward or your hips just don't go back, you won't have this effect. But once you've got it, you can see how bouncy it is. I'm bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. But it's not the knees. Very, very careful. Not the knees, it's the ankle, the Achilles tendon and the arch of the foot. You see, if I walk like this, landing on the heel, I'm just impacting the knee. If I walk like this, bouncing on the ball of the foot, what I'm doing is walking on the elasticity of the Achilles tendon. And this bounces, bouncing, bouncing, bouncing. It's the secret. So now here, standing up nice and tall. Lock out the legs straight, pull in the belly, shoulders up and back a bit. So nice and tall. And then what I'm doing here is rising all the way up. So now you're practicing as high as you can get. So you're pushing my toes into the ground. Now sometimes I'll practice really like a ballerina, trying to go right to the tippy toes, and I can do that as well, balance right on the tippy toes. But here's not so much that. What I'm trying to do is bounce on the Achilles tendon. So once you've got this alignment, you can see now I'm bouncing up, 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 down, and you get quite high, but it's not the knees. I'm literally only bouncing on the arch of the foot and the Achilles tendon, which is extremely powerful. And once you've got the hang of that, now this is more advanced. You see, for example, coming downstairs. When you come downstairs, you're pointing your toes lower. So you've got to stretch your foot out, point the tippy toe. But when you catch your weight, I'm catching it onto the Achilles tendon, into the spring. Again, you have to feel it. Once you've got the hang of what this feels like, you have to create it. Create it in every step that you take. You see, I'm reaching out the tippy toes, I'm holding a certain tension in the foot, but I'm holding it to create this elasticity in the Achilles tendon. And once you've got the hang of this, it's the same thing that I try to do with all of the joints in the body. It's tricky to do, but it's the secret. If you can get this, you're not using the muscles, you're using the tendons, the ligaments, and that is the secret of body efficiency training. So I hope this little video made sense. Please leave any questions or comments below, and I look forward to seeing you, and I hope to see you in any of these other videos here.